My name is Marcus Rivera. I'm 49 years old now, but this story starts on a Thursday morning in April 2006. When I came home to an empty house and a note that said 7 words, I thought we were happy. That's what haunts me most. Not the betrayal itself, but how completely blind I was to it. I was 31 back then, working as an electrician in Portland, Oregon. Licensed journeyman for Cascade Electric, pulling down about $4,100 a month with overtime. My wife, Vanessa Schoen Rivera, worked part-time as a medical receptionist at a downtown clinic, bringing in another $2,700. Together, we had 3 kids. Ethan, who was 6, Olivia, 4, and baby Noah, barely 20 months old, still learning to string 2 words together. We lived in a modest ranch house in Beaverton, mortgage running us $1,750 a month. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. Or so I thought. Looking back, I can see the signs I missed. The way Vanessa started wearing perfume to work. How she'd take phone calls in the bathroom. The extra shifts she claimed to be picking up. But I was too busy being the provider, the responsible one, the man who showed love through action rather than words. I worked 55-hour weeks because that's what you do. You provide. You sacrifice. You build a foundation so your kids can have better than you did. I thought Vanessa understood that. I thought we were building something together. That Thursday, I left the house at 6:15 in the morning like always. Vanessa made scrambled eggs for the kids. She smiled at me over her coffee cup. She said, "Drive safe, Marcus," like she meant it. Like she wasn't already planning to destroy everything my son said. I remember Ethan was excited because his kindergarten class was going on a field trip to the zoo. Olivia was mad because she wanted to go too. Noah was in his high chair, smearing oatmeal across his face and laughing. It was chaos. Beautiful, ordinary chaos. I had no idea it was the last normal morning of my life. When I came home at 6:45 that evening, expecting the usual madness of dinner prep and bath time, I found silence. The kind of silence that feels wrong in your bones. Ethan and Olivia were at Vanessa's mother's house. I'd find out later she dropped them off that morning with some story about needing help with errands. Noah was still at Little Stars daycare, and I had 15 minutes to pick him up before they started charging late fees. Vanessa's 2005 Honda Civic wasn't in the driveway. That alone wasn't strange. But the house felt hollow. Too clean. Too still. I walked through the rooms calling her name, already knowing she wouldn't answer. Her side of the closet was half empty. The bathroom counter where she kept her makeup and lotions cleared out. The jewelry box on the dresser, open and mostly bare. I checked our joint account on my phone. She'd withdrawn $3,800 that morning. Our entire tax refund, $4,500, gone. She left just enough to keep the account from overdrafting. On the kitchen table, weighted down by a coffee mug, was a folded piece of paper. Her handwriting. I need to find myself. Don't contact me. That was it. 11 words. No explanation. No goodbye to the children. No forwarding address. Just a declaration that she deserved something better than the life we'd built together. I stood there holding that note, reading it over and over, waiting for it to make sense. It never did. The reality hit in layers. First, the panic. Noah was still at daycare. The kids needed dinner, needed baths, needed someone to tell them where Mommy went. Then the deeper understanding. This wasn't impulsive. Vanessa had planned this. She'd packed deliberately, moved money, arranged childcare, and walked out. She'd made a choice. And that choice didn't include her own children. I picked up Noah from Little Stars just before closing. He reached for me with those chubby toddler hands, grinning like he always did. When we got to the car, He looked around and said, "Mama?" In that questioning voice toddlers use when something's different. I told him Mama went away. Simple words a 20-month-old could grasp. I didn't tell him she wasn't coming back. I couldn't say it out loud, yet my mother, Elena Rivera, lived in Hillsboro, about 25 minutes away. She'd raised 4 kids after my father died when I was 14. If anyone could help me navigate this disaster, it was her. I called her from the daycare parking lot, Noah squirming in his car seat behind me. "Marcus, what happened?" She knew immediately. Mothers always know. "Vanessa left, Mom. She just vanished." Silence. "Then bring the children here tonight. I'll make up the guest beds." That's my mother. No hysteria. No questions I couldn't answer. Just solutions. The next 3 days were a blur. I called out sick from work for the first time in 2 years. Cascade Electric was understanding, but I knew I couldn't make it a habit. Electrical work doesn't come with unlimited compassion. I had a mortgage, car payments, 3 kids to feed on a single income now. Vanessa's younger brother, Daniel, called me Friday night. His voice was tight with guilt. "Marcus, I'm sorry. I assumed you knew. She's been seeing someone from her office. Some guy named Trevor. They're in Phoenix now. Trevor Zhao, medical supply sales rep from Vanessa's clinic." I drove there Saturday morning. The receptionist, trying to be helpful, mentioned that both Vanessa and Trevor had quit Wednesday afternoon. No notice, no explanation. They cleared out their desks together and walked out mid-shift. The betrayal cut deeper than the abandonment. Not only had she left us, she'd been planning it for months. Building an escape while I was installing circuit breakers and coming home exhausted, thinking I was building our future. But I didn't have time to fall apart. Ethan asked me every morning when Mommy was coming home. Olivia started having accidents again after being potty trained for a year. Noah kept saying, "Mama," and looking around hopefully, like she was hiding somewhere in the house. I had 3 confused, hurting children who needed me to hold everything together. So I made a decision that Saturday night, sitting at the kitchen table with a beer and a stack of bills I wasn't sure how to pay, I wouldn't chase her. I wouldn't beg. I wouldn't even tell the kids the truth about why she left. Instead, I would build something better. I would become the parent she never was. And my children would grow up knowing they were chosen, loved unconditionally, even if their mother chose to walk away. The logistics were brutal. Noah's daycare costs jumped from part-time to full-time. An extra $1,250 a month that stretched our budget past breaking. I had to switch to the early morning shift at Cascade Electric. Less overtime pay, but it meant I could pick up the kids by 5:30. My mother helped when she could. But she still worked part-time at a grocery store and had her own rent to cover. Money was suffocating. I canceled our streaming services, downgraded to the cheapest phone plan, started buying store-brand everything at the supermarket. The kids noticed. Of course they did. "Why don't we get the good crackers anymore?" Ethan asked one afternoon. I told him we were trying new things. He believed it because 6-year-olds want to believe their fathers have everything under control. 3 months after Vanessa left, I hired a private investigator. Not to bring her back. I was done with that version of our life. But I needed to know where she was, what she was doing, in case she ever tried to come back and claim custody. The investigator, a woman named Rita Kowalski, charged me $800 up front. She found them in 2 weeks. Vanessa and Trevor were living together in a 1-bedroom apartment in Tempe, Arizona. Trevor was working at a medical supply company, earning around $6,200 a month. Vanessa was waitressing at a sports bar, probably bringing in $4,300 with tips. "They're struggling," Rita reported. I found eviction warnings on their door. Both their cars have multiple parking tickets. The rent is $1,900 a month, which is pushing them even with both incomes. Doesn't look like they thought this through. I filed for divorce in Multnomah County Court. No fault dissolution. Full custody. Vanessa didn't contest it. She didn't even respond to the papers served at her Tempe address. Her silence said everything her note hadn't. She wanted to be free. So I set her free. By Christmas 2006, we'd found our rhythm. The kids still asked about Vanessa, but less often. I decorated the tree myself after they went to sleep. I wrapped presents I'd bought with extra cash from weekend side jobs. I made Christmas morning as magical as I could on our tight budget. Ethan got a $45 microscope from a thrift store. Olivia got art supplies and coloring books. Noah got a stuffed giraffe from Goodwill that he immediately dragged everywhere. "This is the best Christmas ever," Olivia announced, clutching her new markers. I almost broke right there. Not because it was true. It wasn't. Our Christmas budget was $320 compared to the $950 we'd spent the year before. But because she believed it. Because despite everything Vanessa had stolen from them, she hadn't taken their ability to find joy. That's when I realized something important. My revenge wouldn't be loud. It wouldn't involve destroying Vanessa's new life or exposing her to everyone we knew. My revenge would be silent and complete. I would raise 3 children who would never need her, never miss her, and never forgive her for choosing herself over them. The irony was perfect. Vanessa left to find happiness, but she abandoned the only thing that could have given her lasting joy. Now that joy belonged entirely to me. By 2009, 3 years after Vanessa's departure, we had built something solid. The children and I had learned to function as a unit. We had systems, routines, inside jokes. The hard times had made us stronger in ways I never expected. I'd been promoted to senior electrician at Cascade Electric, with better pay and health insurance that actually covered dental. My salary increased to $6,800 a month. With careful budgeting and occasional weekend work, we were finally comfortable. Not wealthy, but stable. Safe that the kids were thriving. Ethan, now 9, was playing youth soccer and maintaining straight A's in 3rd grade. Olivia, 7, had developed a passion for theater. She was always putting on shows in our living room, making us sit through elaborate performances. Noah, 5, was reading above grade level and had a curiosity about everything that exhausted and delighted me. But the biggest change came in the form of Claire Patterson. I met Claire at a PTA meeting for Olivia's school in September 2009. She was there for her son, Dylan, who was in Olivia's 2nd grade class at Sunset Ridge Elementary. Claire was recently divorced. She worked as a pediatric nurse at Oregon Health and Science University, earning about $6,500 a month. She had this way of listening that made you feel heard, not just tolerated. "Your Olivia is something special," Claire told me after the meeting. "Dylan talks about her constantly. Apparently, they're starring in the class play together." We started talking, and I found myself staying in that school hallway longer than necessary. Claire had been through her own betrayal. Her ex-husband had an affair with his business partner's wife, then tried to hide assets during the divorce. She'd fought for 20 months to get what she and Dylan deserved. The thing about betrayal, she told me over coffee 3 weeks later at a cafe near the hospital, is it shows you what really matters. Not the person who left, but the people who stayed. Claire understood the weight of single parenthood, the exhaustion of being everything for your child, the constant second-guessing, the fierce protectiveness. But she also understood something else. That surviving, it makes you stronger. When she looked at my children, she saw them as individuals, not complications. She never tried to replace Vanessa or force a parental role. She carved out her own space naturally. She helped Olivia memorize her lines for the school play and attended every performance. She taught Ethan how to throw a proper curveball. She read bedtime stories to Noah in voices that made all of us laugh until our stomachs hurt. By Christmas 2010, Claire and Dylan had become part of our traditions. We went ice skating together. We baked cookies and exchanged small, thoughtful gifts. By summer 2011, after long conversations with all the kids, we moved in together. Claire sold her townhouse, and we found a larger 4-bedroom rental in the Cedar Hills area with good schools and a backyard big enough for all of them. The rent was $2,850 a month, higher than I'd been paying, but manageable with both our incomes. I proposed to Claire on Noah's 8th birthday in March 2012, not because the children needed a mother figure. They'd proven they could thrive without one, but because I'd fallen in love with a woman who made our already good life even better. The engagement ring cost me $1,900, 3 months of saving, but her face when I asked made it worth every hour of overtime. "Are you going to be our real mom now?" Noah asked Claire after she said yes. "Sweetheart, I've been your real mom for a while now," Claire replied, kneeling down to his level. "This just makes it official on paper." The wedding was small and meaningful. Close family and friends at my mother's church in Hillsboro. The total cost was $7,500, which we saved over 8 months. Ethan, now 12, stood beside me as my groomsman. Olivia, 10, was a bridesmaid in a dress we found at a consignment shop. Noah, 8, and Dylan, 9, were ring bearers who took their job very seriously. It was everything Vanessa's and my wedding hadn't been. Genuine, joyful, surrounded by people who actually wanted to be there. Vanessa had been completely silent for 5 years at that point. No birthday cards, no Christmas gifts, no phone calls, no child support payments. The children had stopped asking about her entirely. When people asked about their family, they referred to Claire as their mother without hesitation or explanation. In early 2014, I received divorce papers from Phoenix. Vanessa wanted to make our separation official so she could marry Trevor. I signed them the same day and had them notarized within the hour. There was no request for spousal support, probably because she knew she had no grounds after abandoning the marriage. No custody arrangements were mentioned because she'd legally forfeited her parental rights through 7 years of complete absence. The irony wasn't lost on me. Vanessa had left to be free, and now she needed my signature to move forward. Meanwhile, I'd found more happiness and genuine partnership than I ever had during our marriage. By 2017, 10 years after Vanessa's abandonment, our blended family was thriving in ways I couldn't have imagined back in 2006. Ethan was 17, a senior in high school with a 3.8 GPA and genuine college prospects. He'd grown into a confident young man who worked part-time at a sporting goods store and was being recruited by several universities for their soccer programs. Olivia, 15, was winning regional theater competitions and had the lead role in her high school's production of Les Miserables. She was talking about drama school, and I believed she had the talent to make it. Noah, 13, was student body treasurer and captain of his middle school debate team, showing leadership skills that reminded everyone of me at that age. Claire had legally adopted all 3 children in 2015. They'd requested it themselves. They wanted her last name. They wanted the legal recognition of what had already been emotionally true for years. The adoption process cost $12,500 in legal fees, but seeing their faces when the judge finalized, it was priceless. The judge asked each child individually if they understood what adoption meant. "It means Claire is our mom forever," Noah had said. He was 11 then, articulate beyond his years. Like officially forever. And nobody can change that. That's when I realized my revenge was complete. Even though the final chapter hadn't happened yet, Vanessa had lost more than a family. She'd lost the chance to know the incredible people her children had become. She'd missed first days at school, science fairs, soccer championships, opening nights, first heartbreaks, college tours, and thousands of little daily moments that matter most. She'd traded it all for what? According to my occasional internet searches, Trevor had left her in 2016 for someone younger. Vanessa was working as a cashier at a drugstore in Phoenix, living alone in his studio apartment with no apparent relationships or prospects. But the most perfect part of my revenge wasn't what Vanessa had lost. It was what she could never reclaim. My children didn't miss her. They didn't need her. They didn't consider her part of their story. She'd made herself completely irrelevant to their lives. No amount of regret could change that fundamental reality. The doorbell rang on a Saturday morning in May 2024. 18 years after Vanessa walked out of our lives. I was in the kitchen making French toast for Claire and me. The kids were grown now, living their own lives. But Saturday breakfast remained our tradition, even when they visited. When the bell rang, something in my chest tightened. We weren't expecting anyone. Claire looked at me from the table with that wordless communication we'd developed over the years. I opened the door and barely recognized the woman standing there. Vanessa Chun looked every bit of her 49 years, maybe more. Her face was deeply lined with stress and disappointment. Her hair was thin and completely gray. She wore a wrinkled drugstore uniform, a maroon vest and black pants that apparently represented the peak of her career. Her car in the driveway was a battered 2013 Toyota Corolla that had clearly seen better days. "Hello, Marcus," she said, as if 18 years of silence could be bridged with a casual greeting. I didn't invite her in. "What do you want, Vanessa?" "I want to see my children." The words hung in the air like smoke. Behind me, I heard Claire's footsteps stop in the hallway. She was listening, ready to support me, but letting me handle this moment that had been building for nearly 2 decades. "Your children." I kept my voice level. Which children would those be? Vanessa's rehearsed composure cracked slightly. Ethan, Olivia, and Noah. I know they're adults now, but they're still my children. I gave birth to them. I have rights. I almost laughed. Rights? After 18 years of absolutely nothing. No calls, no cards, no child support, no interest in their lives whatsoever. She wanted to claim rights. "You forfeited those rights when you left in 2006, I said calmly. "Legally and practically. Claire adopted them years ago. You have no legal claim." "I was young and confused," Vanessa said, the excuse sounding hollow and practiced. "Trevor promised things would be different in Phoenix. I thought I'd come back eventually when I got my life together." Eventually took 18 years. She tried to peer past me into the house, desperately searching for any sign of the children she'd abandoned. "I know I made mistakes, Marcus, but I'm their mother. Blood is blood. They need to know I want to be part of their lives now." Then Ethan's voice cut through the morning air with surgical precision. "No, we really don't." I turned to see him standing behind Claire in the hallway. My oldest son was 24 now, a mechanical engineer with Intel, earning $145,000 a year, engaged to his college girlfriend, Amy. He'd come over to help me replace the garbage disposal, like he did most weekends. He stood 6 feet tall, confident and successful, everything a father hopes his son will become. "Ethan," Vanessa breathed, reaching toward him like she might touch a ghost. "You've grown up so much. You look just like your father when I met him." "I'm nothing like him," Ethan said firmly, but without shouting. "He stayed. He raised us." He worked extra jobs when he needed to. He never abandoned his responsibilities because life got hard. Olivia appeared next, having heard the commotion from the garage. At 22, she was preparing for her master's degree in theater arts at Portland State. She'd already directed 3 local productions that received glowing reviews. She took one look at Vanessa and crossed her arms. "Let me guess," Olivia said, her director's eye catching every detail of Vanessa's appearance. "Life didn't turn out the way you planned in Phoenix. So now you want to play mom with successful adult children you had no part in raising." Vanessa's eyes filled with tears that looked more desperate than genuine. "I never stopped thinking about you. Any of you. I just needed to find myself. To figure out who I was outside of being a wife and mother. Find yourself." Olivia's voice carried a sharp edge. "We were 4, 6, and barely 2 years old. We needed you to be a mother, not go on some selfish journey at our expense." Noah arrived last, having gotten the urgent text from Ethan. At 21, he was finishing his junior year at University of Oregon, double majoring in political science and economics. He was already planning for law school with the kind of focused determination that everyone recognized. He looked at Vanessa with calm evaluation. "You look disappointed," Noah observed. "Were you expecting some kind of tearful reunion? Maybe you hoped we'd grown up damaged and needy, desperate for maternal approval." Vanessa wiped her eyes with a shaking hand. "I expected you'd at least give me a chance to explain. I'm your mother. I carried you for 9 months. I gave birth to you. Claire Patterson is our mother," Noah said with absolute finality. "She earned that title by being there for 18 years. You were just the woman who gave birth to us." The cruelty of that statement would have devastated me if it were directed at someone who deserved compassion. But Vanessa had lost the right to gentle treatment when she chose her own perceived happiness over her children's fundamental needs. "Can I fix this?" Vanessa pleaded, looking desperately between the 4 of us. "I have time now. Trevor and I, that didn't work out. I'm free to focus on family. I want to be a grandmother to your future children." "Too late," Ethan said with devastating simplicity. 17 years and 51 weeks too late. Vanessa turned to me, perhaps thinking I'd be more understanding, more willing to forgive for the sake of some imagined future reconciliation. "Marcus, surely you understand. People make mistakes. I was in a bad place mentally back then. I've grown since then. I've learned." I studied her face carefully, seeing desperation and entitlement warring there. She still didn't get it. Even after all these years, she thought this was about forgiveness, about second chances, about healing old wounds and moving forward. She couldn't grasp that there was nothing to heal, because we'd built something infinitely better in her complete absence. "You're right," I said softly. "People do make mistakes. But abandoning your children isn't a mistake. It's a choice. And choices have consequences that don't disappear just because you finally regret them." "They're adults now," Vanessa said, grasping at straws with rising desperation. "They can make their own decisions about having a relationship with me. You can't keep me away." "We just did," Olivia said with finality. The silence that followed was complete and profound. Vanessa looked at her biological children, successful, confident, loved, utterly whole without her. Perhaps she finally understood the magnitude of what she'd given up. These weren't the broken, needy children she might have expected to find. They were whole human beings who hadn't just survived her abandonment. They'd thrived because of her absence. "I see," Vanessa said finally, her voice barely audible. "I guess I understand." She turned to leave, then stopped and looked back one last time. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I truly am." "Are you sorry you left?" Noah asked with a prosecutor's precision. "Or sorry it didn't work out with Trevor?" Vanessa couldn't answer. She had no reply because we all knew the truth. She was sorry her life hadn't turned out as she'd imagined, but she wasn't truly sorry she'd left because she still didn't understand what she'd destroyed. She walked to her battered Corolla and drove away, presumably back to her studio apartment in Phoenix, to her job at the drugstore, to whatever was left of the life she'd chosen over us. We watched until her taillights disappeared around the corner. Then Claire stepped forward and wrapped me in her arms in the kind of embrace that had held our family together for over a decade. "Are you okay?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. I nodded, more than okay. Ethan, Olivia, and Noah gathered around us in the kind of family hug we'd perfected over the years. Genuine, warm, chosen, not obligated. This was our victory. Not revenge in any traditional sense, but something far more satisfying. We'd built a family based on choice, commitment, and unconditional love. Vanessa's absence hadn't broken us. It had made us stronger, more resilient, more grateful for what we had. That afternoon, as Claire and I sat on our back deck watching the sunset over the Tualatin Valley, she asked if I felt vindicated by Vanessa's pathetic return. "No," I said honestly. "I feel grateful. Grateful she left when she did. If she hadn't, I might never have learned what true love really looks like. The children might never have known what it means to be truly wanted and valued. And they might never have had you as their mother." My revenge wasn't traumatic or cruel in any traditional sense. It was simply this: I'd raised 3 incredible human beings who chose me. They chose Claire. They chose the family we built together through 18 years of daily commitment. Vanessa could return to her empty apartment in Phoenix, to whatever was left of the life she traded us for, but she could never reclaim or undo what she'd thrown away. Some doors, once closed by our own choices, never reopen. Some opportunities, once rejected, never return. Vanessa learned that truth 18 years too late, and that was the most perfect justice any of us could have asked for. I look at my children now. Ethan, about to get married. Olivia, directing plays that move audiences to tears. Noah, heading to law school with scholarships and ambitions. They're not defined by what they lost. They're defined by what they found. A father who stayed, a mother who chose them. A family that proved love isn't about biology. It's about showing up every single day, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. That's the story I want them to tell their children someday. Not about the woman who left, but about the family that stayed. About resilience and choosing love every single morning. About building something beautiful from broken pieces. And about understanding that sometimes the greatest revenge is simply living well, loving deeply, and never looking back. Powerful, wasn't it? This journey from heartbreak to healing is one we won't soon forget. We'd love to hear how it resonated with you. Drop a comment with your feelings. Hit the like button if you are captivated, and let us know where in the world you're reading from.